Okay, so yesterday I was reading that Obama went to talk to all the Republican House of Republican representatives from the House. Okay, so here's a lone Democrat. I think he had one assistant going in to talk to the people that are usually like that. And they had a very good meeting. Both sides said they had a very good meeting. And Obama said that he really wanted to hear their ideas and discuss what was going on and get new ideas that could really make the economic stimulus package better. So the reason I'm telling you this is that this is an example for us of really excellent communication, that it's so easy to say these people are different. Then we develop a lot of conceptions about them that we're sure are absolutely true, even though we've never talked to them or talked to them very little. But we're sure all these conceptions are true. And therefore, we don't talk to them because they're like that and they're not going to understand. We can't communicate anyway, so why even try? And so he, I think, is showing an incredible example of going beyond that pattern of how most of us react to things. Okay, so when you're living in community, even though it's a Dharma community, you're gonna, superficially you think, well, everybody thinks the same way. Okay, you've gotten it. No, they don't think the same way, do they? Not at all. And sometimes when you're living in community, you are living with people who, if you were on the outside in your job or whatever, you wouldn't hang out with, you wouldn't even talk to, because they're different, You've made up your mind that they're different and you're not going to talk to them anyway. But here living in community, you see them 24/7. It's not like you can go home and close the door and just be with the people that you like. Okay? So it's a very good training ground that we're going through here. Yeah? And so another thing Obama did yesterday, and he's going to be a very good example for us, I think, is he gave his first interview, kind of broad with a network or something like that. And it was with Al Arabiya. And it was broadcast all over the Middle East. Your first one as a president, okay, with Al Arabiya. And in it, he was saying, he said very directly to the Muslim world, I want you to understand that we Americans are not your enemies, And when they're having some meetings in the Middle East, and I don't know if he told one of his aides or if he made this comment on Al Arabi, I can't remember, but he said something about too often we Americans come in dictating what others should do and we don't listen. Okay, so this also happens in our life here as community, doesn't it? Sometimes in our interactions with other people, we know the way it's supposed to be done, and we just dictate to them, on certain terms. And this is different than, Diane, what you've said about just explain to me what to do, because explaining to somebody what to do is one thing, but dictating to them because and they're not doing it right is another ballgame. Okay, and so he was, trying to show that that's, Americans are going to act different in the international scene, but also in our relationships with each other, not to have that kind of dictating mind that tells people, but that listens more than we speak, and that's also, what he said to them is to really listen and hear people's concerns. So this is something that when we live in community, is very hard for us. Some people don't know how to listen, but they do know how to speak, and some people don't know how to speak, and they do know how to listen, and some people don't know either. And some people are, you know, when they get good, know both, okay? But some of us, we know how to speak, but we don't listen, and so we go into the situation and we just tell other beings how it is, and blah, 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 and you're like this, and you're like that, and, you know, and they have a hard time listening to what the other person's trying to communicate. So much so that sometimes the other person just shuts down and doesn't try to communicate anymore. Then there's other people who know how to listen, but don't know how to speak, and so they come and, you know, and they just sit there and listen, and something is bothering them and something isn't going right, and they just sit with it and, you know, go into the meditation hall and have a real good session of rumination. You know, and we can ruminate on our problems very well, and, you know, have our single-pointed concentration on jealousy and on anger and on judgmentalness. You know, we're very good at those kind of meditation sessions. So, you know, we might listen to what others are saying, but we can't express, we don't say anything, and we keep it all bottled inside, and just, you know, and of course, you know, we radiate energy out into the environment that other people pick up, okay? And then there's other people who can't listen, who don't know how to listen, and they don't know how to talk. And so, you know, something's wrong, and they don't say anything at all, even though everybody knows what's going on. And then, you know, somebody tries to say something to them to help, and they're like this, you know, you don't understand. And then they just dig themselves, you know, into a nice little hole again. And so what we're trying to do by living in community is learn how to listen and to learn how to speak. Yeah, because we've got to learn to do both. Yeah, one or the other doesn't work, as we can see. We have to learn how to do both. And it's something that we haven't necessarily learned in our life before. And so we come into community and we have the same old habits, and we try and live by our same old habits, and it doesn't work, does it? You know, it doesn't work. And this is really the beauty of living together and how we grow, because the same old things don't work, and we're all trying together, and other people will point out to you, often in a kind way, that your previous habits aren't working, you know. And if you can hear that, then you try and change. But like I said, sometimes people can't hear that. But sometimes things get to a certain tension point where it's like you either explode or you change. Yeah, do you know that one? Yeah. Where you're so miserable inside that, you know, there's two options. You explode or you change. And so, you know, sometimes we explode by putting it out on everybody else. Sometimes we explode by running down the hill, okay? Or the other thing is we change, yeah? And so this is what we're all trying to do, and we're all in the same boat together working on it, aren't we? Yeah, I mean, this is really a lifelong process. So I'm happy that our president is modeling some good communication skills for us, and you know, and then we should try and learn from him and from others, you know. Okay. There's also a nice book down in the library called Nonviolent Communication, which in the early years at the Abbey, some of the people, residents, were reading together, and there's a workbook. Some of you, if you have that book or the workbook in your rooms, please put it in the library, the communal library. Yeah, because it's very, very helpful for people to read about just different ways of communication.